All right. Well, we've been informed that we're going to live stream until we're told not to. So
I can be a commercial.
Well, technically,
Technically, I don't become a school.
I don't want to say that. I mean, okay. So now that you said that, what's happening is that we're gonna like do our lesson, and you can only hear me. You can't necessarily see what I'm doing. All right, but you're gonna be able to hear me. So, right. I don't have to share my screen. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna share my screen anyway, because I might as well just record this for the Weiss channel. So now, hey, you know what? You don't have to do anything. You can do whatever you want, right? You always have a choice, right? You don't really have to come to class. You don't really have to come to school. You could go to Nick's, you know, you can hang out, you can do whatever you want. There's no one really stopping you from doing whatever you want to do. But you might wind up in places that you don't want to wind up as a result. Let's be honest. Right? Anyway. So we're going to talk about the Pythagorean Theorem today. Could we have all phones face down, please? Phones face down, phones face down. Do you know why I asked phones to be face down? I talked about this last time. You don't remember? Antoine doesn't remember. The reason we put phones down and we focus this way is so when you want to do the assignment, you'll know how to do it because you paid attention to how to do it, as opposed to being on your phone. That's why we have phones face down. So, Dre, can we please have phones face down? Cortez, phones down, please. Phones face down. Yep, I know. I'm not going to take very long. Yes, Cortez. Yes. Okay. All right. So, in a right triangle, this is only in a right triangle. The two sides that make up the right angle, this is the right angle, right, are called the legs. This is a leg, and that's a leg, okay? The legs. Directly across from the right angle is called the hypotenuse, okay? What I want to say is this: do you see how this square, if you think about it, this little pointy thing, I consider this to be somewhat of an arrow. I think of this like an arrow. Right? See how that kind of makes an arrow, really, if you think about it? And it points to the hypotenuse. Okay? Yes. We're going to do that ABC thing. Right? You hate that ABC thing? See how this points to the hypotenuse, okay? The right angle points to the hypotenuse, okay? All right, and now, what if it looked like this, okay? Still, the two legs make up the right angle, and the right angle points to the hypotenuse. Can I have a nod if everyone understands what I'm talking about here? Okay. Melly, you're good there? You're okay? You're okay. All right. Stella, face down with the phone, please. Thank you.
Is that going to be too late?
Always going to be 2 legs and a hypotenuse with a right triangle. Okay. In a right triangle, the 2 legs are A and B. The hypotenuse is always C. It doesn't matter if you call this A and this B, or this A and this B, but the hypotenuse is always C, always. This is A, this is B, hypotenuse is C. Cortez, face down with the phone, please. Okay. All right. In a right triangle, the Pythagorean theorem says a squared plus b squared equals c squared. All right, always. For example, if this is 3 and this is 4, this will have to be 5 because 3 we'll do this example. 3 squared, if 3 is A, right? 3 squared plus 4 squared equals 5 squared, right? 3 times 3 is 9. 4 times 4 is 16. 5 times 5 is 25. And doesn't 9 plus 16 equal 25? A squared plus B squared always equals C squared. If you have 3 parts of a triangle that don't fit this criteria, that where A squared plus B squared is not C squared, then it's not a right triangle. This only happens in a right triangle. Okay. Thank you for the nod there, Christian. Appreciate that. All right. So here, how do I find the missing length? Now, I just showed you that if the 2 legs are 3 and 4, that the hypotenuse is 5. But how would we solve? Here's what we would do. We would say, okay, A squared plus B squared. The problem with the light off is that people want to fall asleep with that. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Here. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Okay. So instead of A, I'm going to put in 3, right? 3 squared plus, instead of B, I'm going to put in 4 plus 4 squared equals C squared, right? Now, not everyone's okay so far. 3 squared is 9. 4 squared is 16 equals C squared. 9 plus 16 is 25. 25 equals C squared. I don't want C squared, I want C. So what do? I take what's called the square root, right? If the square root of C squared, isn't that C? The C times C is C squared, right? So I take the square root of 25. The square root of 25 is 5. Okay? Everyone good there? Okay. That's so painful. I'm going to write that for those watching at home. 3 squared plus 4 squared equals C squared. 9 plus 16 equals C squared. 9 plus 16 is 25. So I'm going to take the square root. And the square root of C squared is C, and the square root of 25 is 5. So the answer is 5. Okay? All right. Next one. What if one side is 7 and the other is 24? Okay, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. What's a? 7. 7 squared. What's b? 24 squared equals c squared. Now, 7 squared is 49. What the heck is 24 squared? I don't know. I'm going to use my calculator. 24 times 24 equals 576. Equals c squared. What is 49 plus 576? 625 equals c squared. What am I going to do now? I'm going to take the square root. Do you know how to do the square root on your calculator? If you don't, I want you to ask me because you're going to have to do that today. All right. On a cell phone calculator, you got to turn it sideways and hit square root x. Let me know and I can show you where that is. Square root of 625 equals 25. Can I have a nod if you're okay so far? We're good? Yes. Okay. All right. How about this? Wait a minute. Do you see that it's giving me the hypotenuse here? Whoa, now what do I do? Hold the phone. Very good, Jaden. Thank you very much. Okay. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared, right? So this time x squared plus 12 squared equals 13 squared, right? Is everyone okay with that, right? So x squared plus 12 times 12 is 144. 13 times 13 is 169. And now I don't add those together, right? Because what do I do to both sides now? Subtract 144 from both sides. Okay. And 169 minus 144 gives me 25. So I take the square root of 25, and the square root of 25 happens to be 5. Okay. Can I have a nod if everyone's okay with that, please? We're good? Shay, face down with the phone, please. Face down with the phone, please. Are you okay with what's going on here? Okay. Same shiznizzle, right? This time, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. 9 squared plus x squared equals 41 squared. 9 squared is 81 plus x squared equals, what is 41 squared? We're gonna do 41 times 41, 1,681. Okay. And now, what do I do to both sides? I subtract 81, right? X squared equals 1,600. So now I'm going to take the square root. Square root of 1,600 gives me 40 ounces. All right? Easy. tough. I'm gonna just wait, let me finish the lesson. Okay, all right. One more, all right. What happens here? Okay, you still have a squared plus b squared equals c squared. But this time, 3 squared plus 7 squared equals x squared. Now we have 9 plus 49 equals x squared. 9 plus 49 is 58 equals x squared. So I take the square root, right? And when I take the square root of 58, square root, I get 7.615773105. It goes on and on and on. But it's today in your Delta math, I'm pretty sure it says round to the nearest tenth. If you round to the nearest tenth, you know what the tenth place is? The first digit after the decimal, 7.6. Okay, that's going to be your answer in Delta Math today. Now, if this said 7.67, you'd have to answer 7.7, right? Because if it's 5 or higher, you round up, right? Okay. This is how you do it. Okay, easy, right? You have a Delta Math assignment called the Pythagorean Theorem. Easy, please. You have 18 minutes. You have 18 minutes, please. Yes, yes, you both, can you both go? I don't know. Who? I'll tell you what. Kishana, you take that pass, and Mimi, I'll write you. That one, you know how to fill it out there? Okay. You've been watching the Weiss channel. That